To be clear, it's his first overseas trip as president. Joe Biden has traveled all over.
He has traveled out of the country? This week, we are breaking down Joe Biden's trip to Europe, his first trip abroad. Let's start with sort of where he's going and what's the overall point of this trip.
So basically, we're going to have a bunch of summits. It's like summit after summit after summit. European Union, NATO, G7, Britain, and Russia.
What are they saying behind the scenes about this trip in terms of expectation setting?
So the thing about the Biden administration is they're constantly trying to lower your expectations. They're basically saying this is almost about kind of a reset. Ooh, wait, that's not a word we're allowed to use. Reset.
That's been banned, right?
Yeah. This is an opportunity to show to the whole world that the U.S. is very much back. We're back talking to our allies. We're going to be in the leader's seat. This is about showing that democracies can work, that they can work together, and that they can stand up to authoritarian forces like the ones in China, as well as Russia.
Biden is meeting two interesting characters in the UK, Boris Johnson and the Queen.
Her husband passed away recently, so I'm guessing it'll be a fairly somber meeting with her. Johnson, on the other hand, Biden brought up this concept of the special relationship with Boris Johnson, and that Johnson told him he didn't like the term. It's going to be interesting to see how Johnson tries to balance this idea of Britain as being awesome and independent at the same time that Britain needs the United States as a trade partner, as a military alliance, that sort of things.
What are the countries, Nahal, that were left after the Trump era with the sort of most skepticism about the U.S. and whether the U.S. could be a reliable partner?
Look, honestly, all countries in the world have been left with this impression that the U.S. is not what they thought it was, as reliable as they thought it was. When they see 70-something million people voting for Donald Trump to stay in office, they realize, wow, a lot of Americans are nationalists. They are anti-globalist. I mean, they have these kinds of views that to other countries that rely on alliances, that need the U.S. for a variety of things. That's a really scary sign.
The president talks a lot about this global clash between democracy and autocracy.
We're at an inflection point between those who argue that given all the challenges we face, that autocracy is the best way forward, they argue. And those who understand that democracy is essential to meeting these challenges.
If you have to say, okay, what is the one animating theme? The one thing that he constantly comes back to, it is this democracy versus autocracy idea. The idea that democracies have to prove themselves, have to remain strong, and have to show the world that they are going to be more successful than an authoritarian model like the one that China is promoting. What the Biden administration is interesting is that they are saying increasingly, there's no difference between foreign and domestic policy. We have to strengthen ourselves domestically in order to compete globally. They're trying to break down these silos. A lot of it is going to be about the US telling these other countries, hey guys, you need to strengthen yourselves domestically and be less reliant supply chain wise and others on countries like China, because you just never know when they're going to use that against you.
How will that go over with some of these other countries?
Overall, the sense in Europe is that the Chinese are overplaying their hand diplomatically and otherwise. There's been a lot of frustrations with the way that China is behaving on the world stage. So, it's about finding that happy middle. And let's not forget, China is a very important trading partner for the U.S. even now, even with our tariffs and sanctions on them.
Tell us about the last part of the trip where he's going to meet with Vladimir Putin.
We're being told don't expect some big agreement. It's more about the United States telling Russia and giving Russians a chance to basically say, here's where we stand on all these issues. Here's what we're planning on doing going forward. And if you screw with us, here's what we're going to do in retaliation.